Hello and welcome to my channel. Well, what we have here is a Christmas gift. I've, I went to the grocery store today and I just got a few things, milk, orange juice, and ice cream. And as I was putting stuff in my Jeep, a car went by and I heard a voice. And it just sounded weird, and I turned around because I was looking at the back part of my Jeep, where the car drove by, and I thought, well, that was weird. It almost sounded like somebody talking to me. I turned around and there was my sister, my younger sister, and she said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I said, "Oh no, not much." She goes, "Hey, I got your Christmas present in the car. Let me go get it, And I went with her. She dropped me off. I drove my Jeep back to the apartment, and then she picked me up. And we went to a thrift store where I probably, if I'm going to be exposed to the plague, that's where it was going to be, because I didn't wear a mask. Usually I wear a mask every time I go out. I haven't caught this thing the whole time, I've been careful, but this time I didn't wear a mask. Nobody was wearing a mask inside this thrift store, and if it's contagious as they say it is, and as prevalent as they say it is, that I was probably exposed then. But oh well, that's the way things go. You can try to avoid this thing all you want, but then you slip up just one time, and I'm not experiencing anything right now. I'm just saying. I haven't been watching the news as much, or I've been tailoring what I've been watching on YouTube and stuff like that, because it's just nothing but doom and gloom, man. It's war, famine, financial collapse, all kinds of it's just a constant background noise of this, So I've been watching other things, like one guy that repairs old TVs and stuff. But let's get to this knife, because if anybody grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and stuff like that, or 90s, after the first Rambo came out, a lot of these things were prevalent. And if anybody knows you're into kind of knives, this might be one of the type of things that you would be given, And it's not too bad as like a gift knife, from somebody that doesn't really know what they're, they just know you like knives, and so they thought, oh, they'll like this one. And usually it's not that fantastic. Now, I just want to say, of course, this one's made by Harbor Freight, or distributed by Harbor Freight, but made in China. The weak point on these knives is usually the construction. First, we'll get to the construction part. All right, so they usually come with, some little goodies in here, and it's got an O-ring. Check that magnet out. Yeah, look how north is. Yeah, so right off the bat, if you try to follow this compass, it's not a matter of leveling it either. Your north is always going to be wherever this thing's pointing. Oh, north, so that way. Yeah, you're going to be lost for a while, so there went one of your survival odds right there. Getting this stuff out of there isn't easy. You gotta get a finger in and kind of dig it out. And there's a little... Apparently, keeping your clothes on is important, because they've got a little sewing kit here. Sewing kit is important, if you're doing like long-term survival stuff. Set of matches, some fishing line. I think there's a fish hook or two in there. So we can pull it out and look. See what it is. Man, I always have a hard time with these. You ever have a hard time with these? Trying to get these things open? I mean, you don't want to tear them open because they're supposed to be reusable, but it's almost worse than trying to thread a needle. Finally got it. Alright, so you got some fishing line and one fish hook. You're going to catch a small fish with that one if you're lucky. Maybe I would have been able to catch that crawdad that was walking around. Needle and thread. This is always handy to have, you know, needle and thread. And 1, 2, 3, 6 matches and a striker. So you could probably improve your contents there. First off by prying that one out. And, oh look, it's starting to move. It's exactly opposite. North is that way. Yeah, this one's got issues. I don't know why it thinks north is over here. But yeah, if you're going to rely on something, and a compass is not a whole lot of good unless you've got a map with it. That's usually why I say map and compass. Now you can have a map in your head, but it's not going to be as good as a physical map. Anyways, we'll deal with that later. Let's look inside this. You see how it's done in there? There's an Allen wrench. That's just a blade tang right there. So this is a whole casting, and there's an Allen wrench that goes in there and secures the tang. Now you've got this whole part right here supporting it, and you've got a little bit more past that back here supporting in the casting. So that's your weak point. That's your weak point. But it's fairly secure. I mean, it's fairly solid. Now this, yeah, this feels like a sawtooth. I mean, it's got sharp edges on this side and sharp edges on this side. So take a little piece of fat wood. Not a very efficient saw. I mean, it could work. You kind of get them on the side. You know, you got to use one side or the other because it's not, the teeth are not shaped really to. But it's a better attempt than I've seen a lot of them. Some of these, they just do this and it's just for decoration. But these have opposing teeth. They're just shaped weird. They don't. See, it made a nice cut when I went like that. But if you go like this, there's nothing, there's no pointy part sticking up, I guess is what I'd. Let's get up, zoom up and look at this. Yeah, so that's a separate piece right there, and this is a separate piece right here. Because nothing's sticking above this line here, you're not going to really be able to do a whole lot of, small amount of sawing, I guess. You'd have to start sideways. Sounds like I got a bow drill going. Yeah. So, you're just going to get frustrated trying to use that as a saw. And if it's sharp enough to bother you if you think that's jimping. You know, you go, ow, 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 this hurts. Anyway, normally, you know, I don't look a gift horse in the mouth and everything, you know. If somebody gives you a gift, you say thank you. You know, I really liked it. And, of course, if it was a Christmas gift, then you'll be stuck with things like that the rest of your life. But, oh well, you know. So, there you go. That's That's this guy. The steel is stainless, I think is all it says. Stainless steel. This is an aluminum handle here. Trying to get it threaded back in. There we go. Seems fairly secure. I could test it for waterproofness by sticking it underwater, but I'm not going to do that right now. Halfway decent bevel. We got a hollow grind up here, so it's like a saber grind. A swedge up here, but it's flat. Comes to a pretty blunt point there. Yeah, so what do you do with one of these? You know, the sheath is, it would need reinforcing with rivets, you know, if you want to be really safe with it, but I guess it's okay. It's just a very minimal basic sheath. You give them away to someone else, you know, like re-gift it, or you put it in a vehicle. See, I wouldn't want something in my vehicle that I was going to depend on. I don't want to just throw, you know, I'm not saying this is 100% junk. It's just an inexpensive knife that if you use it, if you try to use it for your intended purpose of survival, you're tying one hand behind your back, I think, compared to what else you could get, you know. You could spend less money on like a Mora, you know, get yourself a little Mora, and that whole thing, that whole handle up there for matches and sewing stuff, okay. You could probably put something better in there. The matches are okay. I'd put a ferro rod or something in there, or some, you know, just to add to that. And yeah, I'd like you to see flint paper. I'd like to see somebody try to survive with this. I mean, it'd be better than nothing. Inspect before every use. Do not use if damaged. Wear goggles and heavy-duty work glove during use. Don't use it as a hammer, a chisel, or a pry bar. Do not use a handle extension to increase force. So I guess, you know, like don't stick a stick in there in the end of it and then lever down. So it's basically telling you, baby it, you know. And I think if you're in a survival situation, you want something that you don't have to baby, you know, that may be able to take. Ooh, we lost a match. That may be able to take a little bit more pressure and force and stuff like that. So there you go. What would you do if somebody gave you, you know, like a relative or something like that, gave you a knife like this? Yeah, you've got lashing points here, you know, you could lash it on. It'd be better than just having a pointed stick. I mean, you can make pointed sticks with it if you needed to, you know. It's all right. Face it, you know, if you're into knives and any of your family members find out about it, you're not going to get a Spyderco or a Case or a Benchmade. You're more than likely going to get an M-Tech or something like that. And they can be okay knives, you know. I mean, they could be a barter item or something, you know. Shit hits a fan, somebody needs a knife, you know, you can say, hey, I'll trade you this for a can of beans. And I'll get the better deal probably on a can of beans. But anyway, there you go. I just wanted to throw that one out there for you. And for everybody that's worried, you know, don't let society or everything get to you. We as people have survived worse things, and I don't know. Just don't let stuff get to you. I try not to let it bother me too much. Knives will always be here. They're not going to change. They're going to be, you know, they're going to be knives like this out there, and you're going to run into them from time to time. So Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.